Dear students, welcome back to the discussion of the poem Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night. In this session, we will discuss the background of the poem, its form and theme. Let us see the background of the poem. It was originally published in an Italian journal, Bottega Obscura, in 1951. Later it was published in the collection In Country Sleep and Other Poems, published in 1952. This poem has a personal touch. Deeply shaken by the news that his father has cancer, Dylan Thomas wrote this poem. He had hoped that he would be able to read his poem out to his father, though the poem was published only after his father's death. This poem has a universal theme as it encourages all people to fight with anger and passion against death, rather passively accept it. Now let's move to its form. Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night is a lyric poem due to its intense musicality and focus on emotions. Dylan Thomas was a neo-romantic and was not connected to the dominant trends of the 20th century. For example, he was neither associated with the poetry of social concerns of W. H. Auden and Stephen Spencer, nor with the intellectualism of T. S. Eliot and Ezra Pound. This is one of the finest villanelles in English. It has 19 lines, including 5 tercets and 1 quatrain. There are 2 refrains and 2 repeating rhymes. The first and third line are the repeating lines or refrains in the poem. The sounds it and a are the 2 repeating sounds. The first and third lines in every stanza rhyme with night, while every second line rhymes with day. Thereby, Dylan Thomas places life and death at the poles of his vision. The rhyme scheme of each tercet is A, B, A, and that of the quatrain is A, B, A, A. Why the form villanelle in the modern period? Dylan Thomas rebelled against the dominant trends of the time and sought to revive the older forms and tones. The villanelle is a perfect form for this aim. The dominant meter used in this poem is iambic pentameter. That means the line consists of 5 feet of unstressed and stressed syllables. But there is metrical variation. For example, in the line rage, rage against the dying of the light, the first foot consists of 2 stressed syllables, which is known as aspondi. The poem is rich with symbols associated with life and death. For example, good night, close of day, dying of the light, dark represent death, while light, day, bay represent life. The poet uses different images while describing how different people fight against death. For example, when he discusses a wise man, he uses the image of lightning. This is the line, their words had forked no lightning. This means wise men at the end of their lives lament that their words made no impact like that of a lightning. He also uses the image of last wave and green bay to imply the regret of the good men. Good men at the end of their lives lament that their simple actions might have been successful had they got some more time or opportunities. Most of the lines used in this poem are end-stopped lines. This means the idea ends at the end of the line. This suggests the poet's attempt to hold on to emotions. But some lines show enjambment. That means the line goes to the second line without having a punctuation at the end. Look at these lines. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. So the first line does not end at the end. It goes to the next line. This implies an inevitable march of time and life. Repetition is another figure of speech used in this poem. Take the example, rage, rage. This emphasizes the intensity and urgency of the thought. There is parallel construction while the poet describes different types of people. These different types of people have something in common. They all have serious regrets at what they didn't do in their life, and they want more time. The parallel construction echoes this underlying similarity. Oxymoron is another figure of speech used here. That means bringing opposite words together. For example, blinding sight, curse, bless, etc. You can see similarly in the expression blind eyes could blaze like meteor. There is pun also. Pun means using a word which provides multiple meanings. For example, grave men, where grave means serious people as well as dying people. The alliteration adds to the musicality of the poem. Now let's go into its themes. Number 1, contrast between life and death. The poem creates tension between life and death through different symbols and imageries. The entire rhyme scheme of the poem is built around the words night and day, thereby placing these two aspects at the poles of his vision. Death is inevitable and it is the end of our journey. But the thought of death or mortality of life brings about the beauty and vitality of life and the necessity to fight for life until the last breath. Look at this line, for example, old age should burn and rave at close of day. The word burn is associated with light, implying the vitality of life, and close of day means death. So this line shows the vitality of life, at the same time the inevitability of death. Next theme is transience of life. The poem displays brevity of life or transience of life. Different people mentioned in the poem express their regret at what they didn't do in their life. This idea of regret embedded in the poem implies the shortness of life. The poem also reminds the reader to seize the day or to embrace life rather than let it pass by. See these lines? Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, shows the regret of the people. And next line, wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late they grieved it on its way, also implies the regret and shortness of life. Another significant theme in the poem is resistance. The word night is usually associated with death, so nothing new in it. But the poem becomes unique as it advocates a type of resistance to the inevitable death. The poem does not ask us to deny death, but to fight for life as much as possible, implying resistance makes life meaningful. It is only through resistance that we can challenge death. These are some of the observations on the poem. I hope you got it. If you have any doubt or suggestion, do contact me. Thank you.